What I'm interested in doing is finding the intercepts of a graph. And what is an intercept? An intercept is where a graph crosses either the x-axis or the y-axis. Okay, so and think about it. When you're crossing the x-axis, what is y? Y is 0. Here are my x-intercepts right here. And if I look, I can see they're at 3 and -2. Here's my y-intercept. That is hard to find. It's not on a tick mark. So it's not always simplest to find it from a graph. But remember, when it's a y-intercept, what is x? 0. So if I know the equation, I can just plug 0 in for x and find y. The next thing that I want to do is I want to find it on a calculator. So on this calculator, I put in your notes, you have the equation and that I put on in the calculator here. And here it is graphed. And what I want to do is I want to find the x and y intercepts. Well, it's not as easy here, is it? Because it's not on a tick mark. So I go to my menu, I go to Analyze Graph and 0. Now it asks me to mark a left bound and a right bound. So I surround it and then it gives me what the graph is, the intercept is. I could do the same with the right hand side, same idea. Make sure you only include where it crosses, otherwise it won't work. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to find maybe the y-intercept. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Trace. I'm going to graph trace, and right here I'm going to put a point, and it tells me that x is 0 there, and -5 is the y-intercept. Now what I want to do is I want to find the intercepts from an equation algebraically. So if I just started with this equation like I have here, what am I going to do? So I have an equation, and it's just a plain old equation. If I wanted to find the solution, I would factor. So how do I factor here? Well, look, I need two numbers that multiply to be -4, add to be -3. Well, -4 plus 1 is -3. And -4 times 1 is -4. This gives me a solution. We've learned how to do this before from factoring of 4 and -1. Well, what does this mean? Well, this is really, I could also have written this as y equals x squared minus 3x minus 4. And when I set this to 0, remember when y is 0, it's where it crosses the x-axis. So those give me x-intercepts. Sometimes I might give you what the x-intercepts are, and you have to find the equation. Now we're not going to multiply it out, we're just going to write it. Remember, what it is here we found the solution from the factors, so now we're going to take these and make them factors. So it's always x minus your intercept. Right? Because if I went here, I'd set each of these equal to 0 by the zero product property, and you'd have x minus 4 is 0, which gives you that x is 4. And that's a review of intercept.